Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver makes rare NFL history. Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver Mike Williams has joined NFL history as one of the only players to play in 18 games in a season. Williams was traded to the Steelers before he could have his bye week with the New York Jets, so he could play in 18 games instead of the usual 17 games. Preston Smith, who was also acquired during Green Bay's bye week, only played in 17 games after being inactive against the Kansas City Chiefs. This quirk happened just once last season when Seattle defensive lineman Leonard Williams pulled that off. So, Williams becomes just the second player to play 18 games in a regular season. The Steelers traded Williams for a fifth-round pick, and he caught the game-winning touchdown against the Washington Commanders in his first game with the team. However, since then, Williams has been used sparingly, with Van Jefferson out snapping him for most of the season. Williams has made a few big plays down the field, but the Steelers have not fully embraced using his skill set as a jump ball receiver. He will be a free agent after the season. He did what? Steelers fans erupt at Ben Roethlisberger jumps ship, report. The Pittsburgh Steelers had a successful first season with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields at quarterback. They ended with a 10-7 record, second in the AFC North, and will have a third meeting against the Baltimore Ravens in the wild card round of the playoffs. However, what former quarterback Ben Roethlisberger said absolutely infuriated fans. According to JPA Football, Wild, former #Steelers QB Ben Roethlisberger is picking the #Ravens to beat the Steelers this weekend. Pittsburgh is going into the playoffs on a 4-game losing streak and the fan base has little confidence in them turning it around. The Baltimore Ravens will host the Pittsburgh Steelers in the first round of the playoffs, but former Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger doesn't think it will go well. You do not want to go play in Baltimore right now, with 2 MVP candidates in Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, Roethlisberger said on his Footballin' with Ben Roethlisberger podcast. And that defense in Baltimore is starting to play. They were their Achilles heel earlier in the season. Now they're playing much better football. I'm telling you right now, the way Baltimore's playing, you don't want that. The Steelers, 10-6, are currently the 5th seed. If they lose to the Cincinnati Bengals on Saturday night and the Los Angeles Chargers defeat the Las Vegas Raiders on Sunday, Pittsburgh would drop to the 6th seed and come to Baltimore for a first-round playoff game. The Ravens beat the Steelers, 34-17, 2 weeks ago at M&T Bank Stadium. After Russell Wilson's interception against the Kansas City Chiefs, complaints about George Pickens' route running poured in from outside the building. Most notably, Hall of Famer Terrell Owens said that Pickens ran the wrong route and caused the interception, largely chalking it up to a lack of effort. When asked about the route running on that play, Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin said that Pickens' route had zero to do with that interception. Not at all. George's route running had zero to do with that interception. George was fine last weekend or last Wednesday, Tomlin said. Chief safety Justin Reid said he was never concerned with Pickens anyway. So, it would not have mattered if Pickens did run the right route. Throughout the game, Pickens was frustrated by the Steelers' offense and Tomlin said that Pickens was certainly not the only one upset. I just saw him in the training room and he had a smile on his face. It was good to have him back. Certainly, the game didn't unfold the way he or we would like. But as I mentioned, frustrations are a component of losing. I tend to focus my energies on constructing victory and worry less about those things. We've got good people, including George. We're able to get over some of those bumps in the road that are associated with failure and keep it moving, Tomlin said of Pickens. If the Steelers are going to win a playoff game, Pickens' play will be a top reason as their alpha wide receiver one. Without him on top of his game, the Steelers' offense often falters, so they will need Pickens to rebound against the Bengals and other teams. The Pittsburgh Steelers are going to pay a quarterback this offseason. More than likely, that quarterback will end up being Russell Wilson, who has played well this season and helped spring the Steelers to a 10-4 record atop the AFC North. However, the range of Wilson contracts being thrown around is quite odd. There has been an idea that Wilson could cash in huge, so much so that the Steelers could back out and let him walk. On the other hand, previous deals such as the Baker Mayfield or Geno Smith deals have been pointed to as barometers. NFL insider Jordan Schultz threw out a projection that he has heard and believes makes sense for Wilson. The idea is that Wilson would get 3 years for $100 million. Some that might not be guaranteed, which would allow the Steelers to have some outs on a quarterback that is 36 years old and still getting older. There is a very good chance Steelers extend Russell Wilson similarly to what Tampa did with Baker Mayfield, 3 years, $100 million, Schultz said. The Steelers have to be careful with Wilson's age. Yet, with his play this year, the team remains highly interested in bringing Wilson back on a deal as the starting quarterback in 2025. It seems like it is a matter of when, not if this will happen. Wilson expressed his desire on Hard Knocks to return to Pittsburgh, and after he struggles with the Denver Broncos, staying in a place that has fostered his success seems likely for Wilson. John Gruden thinks Ravens will smoke the Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers enter their wild card round matchup with the Baltimore Ravens as losers of 4 straight games, and former NFL head coach John Gruden thinks that Pittsburgh's season will end on a 5-game losing streak. On the Barstool Rundown on Monday night, Gruden said that he doesn't think the Steelers have much of a chance against the Ravens on Saturday. "I'm off of Pittsburgh," Gruden said. "They haven't looked good to me on offense in a while. I think the Ravens are the most improved team right now in the AFC. Their defense is playing good. I think they're gonna smoke Pittsburgh." The Ravens' pass defense struggled in the early part of the year, but it's a group that's been one of the NFL's best over the second half of the season, and all around, the Ravens are a tough opponent. Lamar Jackson is again an MVP candidate, while Derrick Henry has given the Ravens a real threat in the backfield. They dominated the Steelers in a 34-17 win in Week 16 in Baltimore, and Gruden thinks a similar result will play out on Saturday night. Given what we've seen out of the Steelers lately, it's a fair assessment of how the game will go. They're a team that just can't do much of anything right. While their defense played better in Week 18 than it did the prior 3 weeks, the offense's inability to score has been a serious issue. They haven't scored more than 17 points during their 4-game losing streak. They've started slow and gotten absolutely killed in the time of possession battle, which they were winning routinely earlier in the season when the Steelers looked like a legitimate contender. The Steelers will really need to work to clean up their offensive woes if they want to have a chance against Baltimore. While it helps that it's a team they're familiar with, the same can be said for the Ravens, who should have an added bit of confidence, given what happened in the last game between the two. The Ravens are a popular pick to make a run in the playoffs this season, and there won't be much faith in the Steelers on Saturday. It will take the best offensive performance in a month for Pittsburgh to have any chance. Their defense, which has been banged up and tired down the stretch, will need to find a way to stop Jackson, Henry, and the rest of the Ravens' offense. The Steelers historically have played well against Jackson, though, so if they can find a way to do so again, things could wind up in their favor on Saturday. But Gruden might wind up being right that things could be ugly for the Steelers, especially if they can't fix things offensively. And you, fan? What do you think of the situation of John Gruden? Leave your opinion in the comments.